is the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show with your hosts Maurice, Patton, and Wade Neely. Proudly presented each week by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans, don't let fans drive drunk.
The Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and also the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. I'm Maurice Patton. This is Wade Neely. We're going to bring you up to speed coming out of week 3, getting you ready for week 4 of the high school football season here in Southern Middle Tennessee for Giles, Lawrence, and Maury counties, and hoping that the weather isn't too much of an issue this coming week, but it almost feels inevitable that it's going to be.
Yeah, in some shape, form, or fashion, it certainly feels like most of our games, at least in our coverage area, are going to be impacted in some capacity.
And it might be on Friday night that they are impacted.
Yeah,
It might not be the games, it might be us that's impacted.
Yeah. There will be some accommodations that have to be made, whether that's between the teams and the fans and administrators, media in attendance. This is going to be a weird week. It sure feels like.
Two words: frog talks.
Man, yes, it is going to be very interesting. Some games have already kind of been moved as we record this earlier in the week. Some games are in talks of being moved. Some schools are standing pat. You know, they're out there with their flags, waiting just to see what Mother Nature brings upon them. But one thing is for sure, whatever we get out of this week, it will be fun. It will be exciting. And it's week 4. I mean, we're approaching the midway mark of the season already in the blink of an eye.
Is that not crazy?
Wild to think about.
Yeah, weather certainly wasn't an issue last weekend.
No.
It's fantastic Friday night.
Oh man,
great night to be outside. This week, perhaps not so much, but we got some pretty good ball to talk about coming out of week 3, and we've got some high-powered matchups here to get us started, with week 4. So let's go ahead and take a quick break right here. Come back and look back at what took place last weekend. So we will do that right here on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show presented by 10 Pin Alley and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Stay with us.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones and Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones and Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia, but now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
Welcome back to the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show, presented by the 10-Pin Alley Eat Play Party and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Week 3, we saw some of everything. We saw some special teams play. We saw some defense. Obviously, we saw some offense, and sometimes we even saw all of it in the same game.
Yeah.
But Columbia Academy blocked a punt, scooped it, and scored, and it was virtually the difference for them in a 21-15 win over visiting Friendship Christian. They had scored in the first half, scored on their first drive, and then both teams kind of settled into a defensive struggle there. 7-0 going into the break. Friendship scored twice to open the second half. Couple of Carlando Barton touchdown runs from short yardage and took a 12-7 lead. And you could kind of feel things starting to slip away from the Bulldogs a little bit. Well, they went 3 and out to let them further slip away, but pinned the Commanders kind of deep, held them to a 3 and out, and then sophomore Alex Heffington took advantage of a off-target punt snap. Friendship's punter tried to get it away. Heffington blocks it, scoops it at about the 20, scores it, gets Columbia Academy back on the board again, making it a 14-12 ball game. And then Stephen Neves and Wyatt Ayers, as they have in each game thus far this season, hooked up from deep, 41 yards to make it 21-12 and pretty much put things away there for the Bulldogs in an eventual 21-15 win there to get to 2-1.
Good win. Seems like a gritty win, right? What you just described seems like they really kind of had to dig deep in a game that maybe Columbia Academy in years past does not pull out and does not get the win. So the fact that you dig deep and do that, the fact that you even go to special teams to get some points on the board, that is massive. And that to me is a sign that this is a Columbia Academy team that is going to be a potential player later in this season and deep into the playoffs potentially. That is a good win.
Yeah, senior linebacker receiver Harrison Brownlee even said as much. He said this was an enjoyable win because we had to work for it. He said it wasn't pretty, but we did the things that we had to do to win it. And so, yeah, you're right on target with that gritty factor in this one for the Bulldogs. So, again, a big win coming off of that tough loss against Webb the week before. So big one for CA there. Also at home, Columbia Central blocked a field goal from Justice Haggard, who had a nice game in the run game on offense as well. Quan Sims had an 85-yard pick six right before halftime to finish out the scoring for Columbia Central in a 24-0 game as they defeated Hunters Lane, again, scored all their points before the half. And second straight week, Columbia Central has scored a defensive touchdown. Second straight week that they have held their opponent without a touchdown because they defeated Dixon County 22-2 in week 2. So, and for former All-OVC linebacker and second-year coach Tredarius Goff, you feel like the Lions kind of want to hang their hat on defense probably. So allowing 2 points in 2 games. Not a bad way to go.
Yeah, that is one way for a team that's trying to find its footing and to build. It certainly helps. It's a heck of a lot easier to build a program when you got a good defense to hang your hat on. Because as we like to say on this show, it's hard to lose games if you don't give up any points.
There you go.
And that's an old adage that I'm going to adhere to again here because Columbia Academy, man, the defense setting the tone. Sometimes the defense will just keep you in the game long enough. Your offense may be having an absolute clunker of a night, but if your defense is continuously giving you chances, eventually you hope that will bust through, and that is a good win. It doesn't sound like that was necessarily the case here. It sounds like Columbia's defense is really just starting to click, and the offense is doing pretty well in its own right. So I'm excited about what I've seen through the first couple of weeks for this young season for the Columbia Central Lions.
Spring Hill's defense tried to seal a victory Friday night against visiting Maplewood. They're down 19-14, coming up on the final 2 minutes of the game. Maplewood throw the pass over the middle. Reeves Gill, who does not play for Maplewood, catches it, goes the other way 50 yards, giving Spring Hill an apparent 20-19 lead, but a roughing the passer penalty negated the pick six. Maplewood was able to pick up a couple of first downs and put away that 19-14 victory, leaving Spring Hill winless still at 0-3.
Yeah, this is a tough one to swallow, and this is one when I refreshed the scoreboard Friday night during our broadcast, I was hoping was the other direction, because you and I talked on this show last week that this was kind of a true swing game. I would not really be surprised if either team won this game. And, man, was really kind of hoping that it'd be Spring Hill that would bust through for that first win, especially as they have a big one coming up on the horizon this week. But, man, Maplewood, you got to give your credit to Maplewood as well. That's a team that could have very easily hung its head after giving up the numbers that they've given up the first couple of weeks and scoring only the numbers they've scored the first couple of weeks. So props to the Panthers on getting the win, and back to the drawing board for the Raiders here. Spring Hill kind of let one slip away, unfortunately, it sounds like.
Yeah, Spring Hill led this one 14-13 at the half. Maplewood scores in the third quarter and then hangs on. Spring Hill is doing some decent things on offense. Cordell Isaac is continuing to improve at quarterback. Jackson Westbell is developing into one of his favorite targets. They've got some offensive weapons, and you hold somebody 19 points in a game, you feel pretty good about your chances. Just couldn't finish things off, and that's kind of been the key for them. The 34-20 loss to Mount Pleasant the week before, the 28-16 loss to open the season against Summit. I mean, 2 touchdowns or less. I mean, they're right there.
Yeah, and it's easy to say, right, if you're not in the fire, kind of like the coaches and the players are with that program. But, man, it certainly seems like they are close, and eventually you just stick around in the fight long enough, and hopefully when something goes your way, you're able to capitalize. And so Spring Hill, like I said, hang in there, please, because, man, that's one that you probably let get away, but it's one that you certainly don't want to let define what you do the rest of the season.
Yeah, you don't want to let one become 2 or 3, that's for sure. Summit goes on the road to North Mount Juliet, holds Green Hill to a pair of first-half field goals, but really can't get anything going offensively, and Green Hill scores twice in the fourth quarter for a 20-0 victory there. Spartans kind of getting depleted up front. We talked about their season opening win over Spring Hill where they rushed for 350 yards. They've not approached that number since, and a lot of that has been because of some health issues, some injury issues up front. I mean, your running game is only as good as your offensive line is, and if you don't have your front line guys on that line, it makes things a little tough.
Yeah, and I will say this is one that, we broke down last week, and we talked about how good Green Hill is. And during our broadcast Friday, again, at halftime, we looked at the score, and I said, man, 6-0. I said, Summit's kind of got something going on here. Obviously, hadn't put any points on the board yet, but 6-0, you feel pretty confident about what you've seen out of your bunch, at least defensively thus far. And, you don't want to get beat, obviously. You don't want to get shut out, obviously. But the fact, is this may be a result later at the end of the year. You're like, man, 20-0 versus a really good Green Hill team, depending on what you can do going forward. That could be something, at least defensively, you're kind of proud of because, again, they are extremely talented, that Green Hill squad is.
They really are. Yeah, Josh Crouch does a really good job over there. Independence had not scored in their first 2 games, losses to Oakland and to Page. They trailed Centennial 7-3 Friday night at Centennial, so they broke their scoring drought. Managed to score 13 points, but Centennial wins that one 20-13 and drops Independence to 0-3 on the season.
Yeah, and this one is tough, right? Because, you get blanked in both of your first two games versus two really good opponents in Oakland and Page. You take on a pretty solid opponent in Centennial, and you kind of like what you see.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it doesn't go your way, this is one, if you are the Eagles, you've kind of got to just say, hey, again, stay with it, guys. If nothing else, you can literally point to the scoreboard and say, hey, we finally have some points on the scoreboard, and we're right there versus a really good team on the road. You got a couple of home games coming up now, maybe a chance for Independence to hypothetically get back this week.
Yeah, you gotta build on that if you're Scott Stidham and that crew up there. Mount Pleasant scores early, scores late, and defeats Waverly 27-12 in Region 5 2A action. And it's interesting. Their first two touchdowns were passes from John Michael Wright to Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson, who had not caught a pass in either of Mount Pleasant's first two games, he catches 3 for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. It's like Avery Johnson team, Avery Johnson, get to know this guy.
Yeah, that's kind of almost an embarrassment of riches type situation, right? When you're sprinkling out some guys who you hadn't even really considered much of a factor, hadn't been a factor, and then all of a sudden, boom, week 3, oh yeah, we got this we can kind of throw at you too. So just when you thought you've got us all scouted, we got a little something for you.
Putting something else on film. Yeah. John Michael Wright quietly is having a pretty good season, taking advantage of a lot of weapons at Mount Pleasant right now. I mean, he only threw for 98 yards, but he was not a 15. This was pretty much a defensive-oriented ball game here. Again, Mount Pleasant leads 7-6 at halftime, but breaks it open with 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns. That's second touchdown to Johnson, and then a couple of rushing touchdowns from Evan Plunkett and Brandon Parrish. So, actually, it is Braden Parrish. My fault, Mr. Parrish. But Mount Pleasant going to 3-0 overall, 1-0 in region play, and broke into the Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Class 2A top 10 this week. That poll is in the print edition of Main Street Maury this week, so be sure and check out all 9 of the classifications polls provided by the TSWA. The Bobcats finally got a win. Not really a shock.
No, the sky is not as falling as much as you might have thought for Giles County. You are correct. As they go on the road, they get a nice win versus Fayetteville. The game really swung on the first drive for both teams. Fayetteville takes the opening kickoff. They march right down the field. We talked on this show last week about their talented senior quarterback, Samuel Willoughby. He's doing things. He's slicing and dicing the defense, and then there comes a crucial 4th down, and they take him out of the ball game. They run a Wildcat package. They turn it over on downs. Giles County marches right down the field. Giles County scores, and kind of really was the ball of the game. Giles County's defense was never caught out of position as much as they were on that first drive the rest of the night, and the offense continued to play well. Caleb Oates really kind of coming into his own as a true running back for Giles County. He finishes with 4 touchdowns, had over 150 yards on the ground. And Xavier Randolph is finally starting to – his first couple of games, hey, maybe don't mess the game up. Don't turn it over. Don't throw an interception. Don't fumble. Now he's kind of attacking a little bit more with his passing game, and he ends up throwing his first touchdown pass to Kareem Bryant. Giles County had not led at any point this season. They finally took their first lead in the win versus Fayetteville. Complete victory for them. Be nice to see what they do going forward.
Richland continuing to do what they do, 34-22 against Wayne County in Region 5 1A action, and Blaine Woodard enjoying the long leash that Nick Patterson is giving him. He's slinging it left and right, huh?
Yeah, this Richland offense has been fun to watch, and this was a wild game. As we were kind of trading scores during our broadcast, various respective broadcasts with PCL there, Richland was up 21-0. Things were clicking. You're saying name your score if you're the Richland Raiders. And then it's a 6-point game with 8 minutes to play. Wayne County comes roaring back and has all the momentum. But you are exactly right. Thanks to the offense, thanks to Blaine Woodard. Luke Eastlick had a big night on the ground. Also, Andrew Huff with a big night on the ground for Richland. They stem the tide of Wayne County, and they ultimately win it in that game, 34-22. Nice win for Richland on the road. Thank goodness. They've had a 3-game road swing to start the year. But more importantly, that was their first region game. They're now 1-0 in region play, which is massive for them.
Both Summertown and Loretto pick up Region 5 2A victories. Summertown moving to 3-0 overall with a 26-12 win over Hickman County. Loretto with Mason Tidwell playing some, not sure how much, but the Mustangs downing Harpeth 34-7. So big wins for both of them in region play. Loretto improving to 2-1 overall, 1-0 in region. Summertown again 3-0 and 1-0.
Yeah, first points of the year surrendered by Summertown's defense. They only gave up 12 though, and good win for them versus Hickman County. And Loretto bounces back. Nice win on the road at Harpeth. That'll be a fun matchup. More on that one still to come.
Meanwhile, in Region 5-5A, Lincoln County with a 28-19 win over Lawrence County.
Seems like Lawrence County, played well, but Lincoln County just a touch more seasoning at this point in the season. Hard-fought game. We knew it would be, and it breaks in favor of the Falcons.
When we come back on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show, we will update you on current stats offensively, rushing, passing, receiving, and get you ready for this week's schedule. Stay tuned.
He shoots, and he scores!
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones and Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones and Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Welcome back into the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. There we go. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. Before we spin into the Week 4 schedule, let's take a look at our area offensive stats individually coming out of Week 3. Let's start with our top rushers. And Columbia Academy's Monte Baldwin continues to hold that spot despite being limited to 64 yards and no touchdowns on 24 carries in that win over Friendship Christian this past weekend. Again, you mentioned Caleb Oates, big night for him, elevated him up. Nicholas McDowell with a big night for Loretto in that win over Harpeth. Those are our top 3 rushers. You can see the rest of those right there, but those guys have been carrying the mail for their respective teams.
Yeah, especially McDowell at Loretto and Oates at Giles County. Monte we know what he's capable of. I mean, that dude is electric. And the other two guys, though, they are Oates is borderline a one-man offense for Giles County in the early goings of this season. And so kind of not a surprise to see him up near the list just because of the pure volume they've thrown on him. But, McDowell's ran well. Ian Clayton has done great, as has Carter Pettigrew for Lawrence County.
Yeah, they kind of got that two-headed running game down there.
Let them both go, wind them up and watch them go. And there's been some good running attacks in Southern Middle Tennessee to get this season started. There ain't no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Let's look at our passing leaders. And if you are a fan of a certain Linville football program, I hope you're sitting down, because Richland's Blaine Woodard, from a yardage standpoint, is your passing leader amongst 10 football teams.
That's crazy. You're right. And I'm glad we're both sitting down, because I should probably lower my chair because I about fell out of it, because Richland is capable of this, and we're seeing it being done, but you're just not used to seeing it.
You are not. I mean, 593 yards in 3 games. Again, I would be willing to bet that 593 yards was a year's total for a lot of Richland quarterbacks.
There's no doubt about it. And Richland has had some talented quarterback play over the years, but you're right. The scheme and the playbook at times, going back to the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s, have not totally always meshed to produce the passing attack that Richland's done. And I mean, very efficient for Blaine as well. I mean, 31 of 57, 4 touchdowns to just 1 interception. He's
taking care of the ball
and finding a lot of different receivers. Good job by him and the Richland Raider offense.
I will tell you this: taking care of the ball will allow you to throw it a lot more. Too.
Yeah. Hey, you don't mess it up too much, guess what? You're going to keep throwing it.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Stephen Neves, 9 touchdown passes in 35 completions. Talk about efficient. That ain't bad either. Again, Mason Tidwell right there following up on a solid year a year ago when he was pressed into duty there. And Cordell Isaac, in his first year as a starter, having a pretty good season to get things started for Spring Hill, even though they don't necessarily have the wins to show for it. Our receiving leaders, speaking of Richland, Jake Sands, 15 catches, 278 yards. That's a nice little number for them through 3 games.
Yes, Sands has been doing a great job. They have a couple. He's your focal guy, right? But they have a couple other sneaky good receivers, whether it's Luke Jones or even Luke Eastlick out of the backfield, doing just enough. Aylin Kennedy is a young sophomore who's coming on, obviously. They have got a nice receiving core, but Sands is your feature guy.
There we go. Those are your stat leaders as we head into Week 4's games. Let's head into Week 4's games, and let's start with a Thursday rivalry contest. They call it the Cowbell game.
Come on.
Lawrence County going to the Brickyard, taking on Giles County. Both of them 1-2 coming into this matchup. Again, Lawrence County coming off of that 28-19 loss in Region 5-5A play to Lincoln County this past weekend. Giles County just picked up its first victory, a 38-7 win over visiting Fayetteville. And, the last time Lawrence County lost a ball game, David Marston just kind of threw down the gauntlet. Now, I don't know if he did so again this weekend following that Lincoln County game or not. But, the Wildcats responded well, took care of business against Loretto the following week after losing to Summertown in Week 1. With all due respect to the Eagles, who we will be talking about more later in this segment, I don't think they're the Bobcats. So I don't know. Obviously, we're going to predict this one in the final segment, but, what are your thoughts about this matchup?
I think it's going to be a fun rivalry matchup. Last year's game was the first meeting between the teams. They paused it after 2018. And so Giles County and Lawrence County had not played, for what is that, 5 years, 6 years. Giles County wins 42-7. So this is Lawrence County's first trip to the Brickyard since way back in 2017. I mean, some of the kids, all the kids on this team, barely, if they remember much, barely remember this rivalry game getting played. So this will be a fun matchup. The rivalry game and the rivalry aspect is always there, even though this has been somewhat dominated by Giles County in recent years. But Lawrence County will always be up for it. Their fans and their students are always hungry for it. And I think it could be a sneaky good game because I think Giles County made improvements last week in their win over Fayetteville, but I still don't know that they're all the way where they want to be just yet.
I'm sure they're not, as long as they're sitting under 500. But, this is a ball game in an environment that if you don't have a dog in the hunt and you've not been to a game at the Brickyard, you might want to consider this, particularly on a Thursday night. I just think that facility is one of the more enjoyable high school facilities in Middle Tennessee to go watch a football game.
I think you're right. We're fortunate enough in Giles County to have that at our disposal, and you're exactly right. This is a rivalry game that, number one, I'm just glad it's back on the schedule. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, kind of consternation over who, what, where, how, and why the games weren't being played, but it's good that the game is being played. Doesn't matter who's going to win. For the good of the schools and the rivalry itself, I think it's good it's being played, and especially on a Thursday. Scott Stewart's our resident fact checker at the Pulaski Citizen because he knows he's been doing that gig a lot longer than me. We can't find a Thursday night game between these two teams. We're not done digging just yet. You got to go way back to, when Fred Thompson was playing for Lawrence County. So we're going to keep digging, and we'll see if we can get it. But as of right now, this could be a history-making type game as they play it on Thursday night.
My guess is if you've not found a Thursday night game by now, you're not going to find one.
Unlikely. I mean,
because back in those days, if you've gotten back to Fred Thompson, they weren't coming off Friday nights anyway.
Barring like a cyclone rolling in, earlier in the week or something. I don't know.
They wouldn't have moved it up. If anything, they'd have moved it back.
I don't know that we're going to find one, so it'll be fun. I'm excited about it. I'm hoping for a good crowd on Thursday and hoping for two good football teams. I think it'll be a sneaky good game.
Yeah. Columbia Academy coming off that win over Friendship Christian goes west, taking on a 1-1 Huntington Mustangs team. They'll be playing on the turf that's becoming more and more in vogue across Tennessee at the high school level. But, Columbia Academy playing with some confidence, I think, right now, coming off of that Friendship Christian win. Huntington, CA is ranked 4th, I think, in the TSWA Division 2A poll. Huntington is also ranked in Class 2A, and this should be a good ball game.
Feels like it. Huntington seems like you see this at small schools where you just go on these runs where they have every sport is good for a number of years. We see it right now with Huntington. Basketball is good. Baseball is good. Mm-hmm. Football's rolling. And, they got Columbia Academy here in Maury County last year, 48-14. So this is a unique matchup between these two teams. Not exactly Columbia Academy's traditional opponent on its schedule, you wouldn't think, especially as they get ready to head west. So I think this will be a fun matchup, and I'm hoping that CA continues some of its good vibes that we saw, especially in that hard-fought win versus Friendship Christian.
I'm wondering if former Tennessee outfielder Kavaris Tears and current Tennessee outfielder Hunter Ensley will have anything on this, for entertainment purposes only.
I'm sure they could potentially draw something up. Get a little friendly, CA versus Huntington magic right there.
Yeah.
And maybe that should be. We'll have to investigate that. Maybe we can speak to Kavaris and find out. Hopefully, CA comes out on the right end and he'll be a little more willing to speak to us.
Absolutely.
After that one.
Absolutely. Region 5A action, the opener for both Columbia Central and Shelbyville as the Lions travel to take on the Golden Eagles. Both of them coming into this game at 2-1. Central with back-to-back wins over Dixon County and Hunters Lane. Shelbyville fell in week 2 to the same Marshall County team that defeated Columbia Central in the season opener. Central lost 25-22. Shelbyville lost 47-35. Now, comparing scores is a fool's whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but more to the point, Shelbyville won this game 29-27 over here at Lindsey Nelson Stadium last year. So I think Tredarius Goff is going to have his guys reminded of that. The only thing is Shelbyville still has Robert Bailey back, who they had problems with last year at running back, and he is continuing. He's kind of picked up where he left off last year. So this will set the early tone in this region, I think.
Yeah, to me, this feels like it could be the top two teams in the region playing on the very first night of region play. This will be a good old-fashioned slobber knocker, as they like to say, and I'm anticipating a lot of sparks flying. I mean, to me, what we've just described at various points of this show and other shows we've done earlier in the week, Columbia's got a great defense. We know that for sure. And Shelbyville's got a really good offense. We know that for sure. I mean, rubber meets the road type situation. I'm looking forward. If this one were at my disposal, I'd love to be able to check it out because I think this will be, a absolute slobber knocker between these two region opponents.
Immovable object, unstoppable force. Yeah,
something's got to give type situation.
Exactly.
You're right.
Exactly. Region 6A action. The Franklin Admirals 1-2 on the year. Coming south, taking on the Independence Eagles 0-3 on the year, the region opener for both of these teams. The Admirals' only win coming in their season opener, a 22-21 overtime victory over Centennial in the Battle of Mac Hatcher up there. Again, Independence broke its scoring drought in a 20-13 loss to Centennial, so maybe some good things are around the corner here for this Independence team right now.
You would hope so. And, I mean, you didn't score versus Oakland. You didn't score versus Page, but those are two really elite programs. Page is still not giving up a point to anybody this season. So you got Centennial now. And, I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not on campus there for Independence, but it feels like to the untrained eye over here in Columbia, it feels like this is a game that you would be excited about and that you kind of can build a little momentum out of. And I'm referring to the Centennial loss last week. So if you don't get two down, if you can keep your head up and keep chipping away, Franklin coming in. Franklin is a dangerous team, is a solid team, but not unbeatable. And certainly maybe Independence a chance to spring for their first one at home here tonight, or Friday night.
There we go. Region 5-2A action. Harpeth lost last week to Loretto. They are 1-2 overall, 0-1 in region play. Mount Pleasant again 3-0 overall, 1-0 in region play. That game will take place on the artificial surface at Mount Pleasant, and the Tigers, man, they got a lot of athletes.
We've been on the Mount Pleasant hype train really since the opening week of the season, and you can pick against them if you want, and you can kind of doubt them if you want. But I'm personally not in that business.
Not at this point.
Not at this point. After what we've seen, especially, they look pretty good. They look pretty strong. They certainly look good and strong at home. Harpeth has got a tall order going on the road after taking one on the chin to Loretto last week.
Speaking of tall order, Spring Hill tries to snap its 0-3 start. They travel to the pit. Meadows Thompson Stadium in Fayetteville taking on the homestanding Lincoln County Falcons. Lincoln County 2-1 overall, 1-0 in their only region matchup last week against Lawrence County.
It's going to be tough for Spring Hill. Lincoln County is improving. They've been improving for the last year or two. This is a year that maybe potentially we talked about they put it all together. They got the nice win last week versus Lawrence County. Spring Hill, however, maybe you like what you saw a little bit. We said on this very same show last week that Maplewood, if you're not careful, could sneak up and beat you. And I don't know if Spring Hill was completely caught off guard or what, but they fall to Maplewood, who is a scrappy team. So you got to rally the troops and you got to rally them in a hurry because this is a big region game for the Raiders.
Absolutely. Summit and Blackman each 1-2. This one taking place over in Rutherford County.
Should be an interesting matchup. Summit, kind of the same script to me as Independence a little bit, right? Can you just keep they have a win to their credit, but same concept. Can you keep kind of trending in the right direction, kind of keep things going forward? You had a nice effort last week versus Green Hill for the first half, at least defensively. And so if you can maybe push that forward, Doesn't seem like that Blackman maybe is as talented as we've seen them in years past. So maybe this is a chance for Summit to go on the road and sneak out a win.
Richland at Wayne Hobbs Stadium, punching up, taking on 3A Fairview. Both these teams coming in at 2-1.
This is going to be an interesting game. This is Richland's home opener after, they've been traveling all across Middle Tennessee to start the season. And this is a rematch of last year's game, which was an absolute nail-biter in overtime. Fairview goes for 2 and wins it 29-28. I think this will be a fun one. And, man, Richland, we've talked about them a couple of times in this program. Their offense is exciting. Defense will be interesting to see because Fairview is pretty talented on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe in addition to raindrops, maybe bring you track shoes because this could be a high-scoring affair Friday night.
The Pegasus Cup takes place at Loretto as the Summertown Eagles face the Loretto Mustangs. Summertown 3-0 overall, 1-0 in Region 5-2A action. Loretto 2-1, 1-0.
This one is interesting to me because Loretto coming into the season, they were really, really frustrated with the way they bowed out of the postseason last year, and then they promptly got off to a great start. We're just steamrolling, folks, until Tidwell goes out and until Lawrence County gets them. Got back last week versus Harpeth, but Summertown has just quietly gone about its business. And after shutting out its first 2 opponents, got a nice win last week, giving up just 12 points. I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I don't really know who to potentially pick in this. Good thing we got a little bit of a break before we give predictions because I feel like this one could go either way. And I think Summertown, if somehow they could get a win from this game, the sky is almost the limit for them in terms of confidence.
Well, you've got a little time to figure out who you're going to pick in this one about the length of this break.
Okay, I'm get ready.
When we come back here on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show presented by 10 Pin Alley and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, Wade and I are going to tell you who's going to win. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones and Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones and Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
He shoots and he scores!
Welcome back to the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Did you figure it out?
Come back to me, please.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll start by let's start with our predictions by telling you how we did last week. I went 9-2. Wade went 8-2. And let's see, who were our losses? Okay, we both missed Spring Hill.
Yep. I think I picked Harpeth to beat Loretto because I wasn't
You
sure.
did pick Harpeth
because I wasn't sure on Tidwell's status.
You picked Harpeth to beat Loretto. I picked Lawrence County to beat Lincoln County. So it was pretty much Lawrence County that did us in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes me 23-6 on the season. That makes Wade 21-5 on the season. And again, we'll start by giving you a little bit of a break as Lawrence County plays at the Brickyard against the Bobcats on Thursday. You will be broadcasting that game on PCL, Pulaski Citizen Live.
And on Main Street Preps Radio, Thursday night game of the week. I'll be in two places. Me and Chris Bledsoe will be in two places at the same time.
The old simulcast.
Man, it is going to be epic. Multiple avenues to catch us on Thursday night.
Goodness gracious. Chris Bledsoe. He's Middle Tennessee wide, huh?
Yep. And we were on we broadcast on the field at Fayetteville last week. Luckily, we're in the press box. And after all the talk about weather this week, that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
We're excited about being back in the press box.
I'm not sure the Mid-State is ready for Chris Bledsoe.
He's been foaming at the mouth, I think, because he eats, sleeps, and breathes Giles County football. Bobcat football is in his blood, and cowbell game is what really kind of gets him going. I mean, he starts floating toward the ceiling, and I kind of have to just pull him down by the ankles. So, yeah, it's going to be fun on Thursday night.
Well, hopefully the ceiling will hold him.
We hope. We're in the bottom story of the press box, so he can only go so high. But, yeah, we'll have to do him in because Thursday is going to be exciting.
I'm going to take the Bobcats in this one just because they're at home. So
I think this is going to be a pretty close game. I think Giles County has improved from each week to each week. But Lawrence County is not quite as off the beaten path as I think a lot of folks may have thought when they first started the season. It will be close.
Columbia Academy going to Huntington. The Bulldogs 2-1 following that 21-15 win against Friendship Christian this past weekend. Huntington improving to 1-1. That's a long drive. Huntington's a pretty good ball club. And for everything that Stephen Neves has done to this point, he has thrown 5 interceptions. And if he gets very careless with the ball this weekend, it could be costly. I'm picking the host Mustangs in this one.
I'm right there with you, and it's eerily similar because I was thinking the same thing. Just the long trip and just the unusual scheduling of this game. Not your traditional opponent for Columbia Academy or Huntington. Huntington took McKenzie down to the wire in week 1, losing by 3, and then roughed up Adamsville last week in their region opener. I like them to knock off CA this week.
Columbia Central travels to Shelbyville. Shelbyville, as you mentioned, is very explosive offensively. Columbia Central is playing really well defensively. I don't know that Columbia Central has seen an offense like Shelbyville's. And I don't know that Columbia Central's offense can support the line defense the way they need to in this one on the road in Region 5-5A. I'm picking Shelbyville.
I'm with you because it's one of those games. I'm going to go against Columbia, and I'm going to, pick through my eyes a little bit. I don't want to, and it's just one of those. I got to see it one more time.
Right.
And they've proven me wrong a couple times already. I've liked what I've seen thus far, but now you add in the fact it's a region game and it's on the road. If you win this game, this is a game that I might not ever come off your bandwagon if you win this one. But I can't do it just yet. I'll take Shelbyville to win Friday night.
You kind of got to show me in this situation. Franklin goes to Independence. The winner of this one stays out of the Region 6-6A basement for the moment. And the Admirals, again, the only win between these two teams right now with that 22-21 overtime victory in week 1 against Centennial. I just feel like Independence is going to take some momentum out of that loss to Centennial this past weekend. They've played a really tough schedule to this point: Oakland, Page, Centennial. And I think that Scott Stidham is going to have this team ready, especially at home. I like the Eagles in this one.
That's a good pick. And I will not be shocked if that's exactly how it plays out. I got to go with Franklin in this one, though, just because I still just have just a few concerns, just a few questions about that offense for Independence. I know you finally break through and put some points on the board. Kind of the same deal with Columbia. If Independence wins this game, this may be one where I'm not picking against Independence for a long time. I'll be rooting for them, but I feel like Franklin wins a close ball game, and I certainly hope Coach Stidham and the Eagles can bust through.
Absolutely. Harpeth at Mount Pleasant. I really don't. I see no reason to pick Harpeth in this ball game. I'm taking Mount Pleasant.
I was wondering what you were about to say because I'm just going to say I'm going Petty Wars. I picked them to beat Loretto last week, and they didn't beat Loretto. So how about this? I'm picking against them. Give me Mount Pleasant this week.
Fool me once, shame on me.
Just boil it down to its basics.
Yep, there we go.
Although I do think, yes, Mount Pleasant, very good. And Harpeth, not bad, but not quite that good.
Exactly. Spring Hill at Lincoln County. The Raiders are 0-3 following that heartbreaking 19-14 loss to visiting Maplewood last weekend. Lincoln County 2-1 overall and 1-0 following that 28-19 win last week against Lawrence County. You know, I'm not sure how good Lincoln County is when you consider who they've beaten. They've beaten Richland and they've beaten
Lawrence County this past week.
County. They lost to Davidson Academy in between. But Spring Hill right now is a team that really needs some confidence, and the only way to get it is to go out and do something. And I'm not sure this is the week for them to go out and do it. I mean, the Pit is not what the Pit it's not the Pit that we grew up with, but I still think it's a tough place to play. And I think Spring Hill has a tough time putting four quarters together for whatever reason. And for that reason, I'm taking the host Falcons in this one.
I'm taking the Falcons as well, just because history is on their side. They have not lost, at least since 2019, to Spring Hill, including last year. It was a squeaker here in Maury County, but it was 14-12 Lincoln County. And that was with a clearly worse Lincoln County offense. Their offense, even though their quarterback has been ruled out for, pretty much the entirety of the regular season, they've turned to Brett Dobbs at the running back position, and he has lit a fire under their offense.
They rushed for 330 yards, him and the running back Carson Carter.
They've got
in that Lawrence County game.
And they have a massive line. I don't think Spring Hill can slow them down. I'd like to see the Raiders get a win, but I can't pick them. I got to pick the Falcons this Friday.
Summit goes to Blackman in a matchup of 2 1-2 teams. Blackman's win is over Rutherford County rival Stewart's Creek, wedged between losses to Brentwood and Ravenwood, both of which are in Summit's region 66A. Summit again opened the season with that win over Spring Hill, but has not won since, falling at Centennial and falling to Green Hill and being outscored 62-7 in those two losses. And again, Summit is a team that wants to run the ball. They've suffered some injuries up front, and as long as that continues to be an issue for them, then offense is going to continue to be an issue for them. And so that being the case, I mean, again, I'm not sold on Blackman. I'm just at this moment less sold on Summit. So I'm taking the Blaze, probably on a close one, but I'm taking the Blaze at home.
I'm picking Blackman as well, but I'm looking at the schedule for Summit, and man, we've talked about some teams playing some tough schedules. At Centennial, at Green Hill, at Blackman, all tic-tac-toe, all in a row, and all on the road. Summit, after their big win versus Spring Hill, savor it while it lasts, because we said it may be tough with the schedule they've got. I don't think they bust through this week. I think Blackman has the goods to get it done. I'm like you. I'm not sold on Blackman. I'm just a little unsure of what we still have out of the Spartans of Summit.
Absolutely. We mentioned Richland at home against Fairview. Richland out of Region 5, 1A. Fairview out of Region 6, 3A. So again, Richland kind of punching up here. But as you mentioned in the previous segment, this game went to overtime last week before Chris Hughes rolled the dice and went for 2 to get the, 29-28?
Yep.
Victory. So Richland can play with these guys. And offensively, you feel like Richland can play with these guys in particular. I'm just not sure defensively that they can weather the running back from Fairview, Trayvon Maury, for 4 quarters. I'm going with Fairview in this one.
Well, everything you just said is totally spot on. And yeah, Richland, they lost that game last year at the, there was a little consternation amongst the Raider faithful about, how the overtime played out and should there have been some penalties maybe called and things of that nature, because of course there was. But I'm like you. Richland, this is a team, I love what I'm seeing from them on the offensive side of the ball. My issue is they've got questions on the defensive side of the ball. They didn't protect the lead. They did enough to win versus Wayne County, but they did not protect the lead as well as you would have hoped. Getting within 6 points in the fourth quarter after leading 21-0. All that being said, I still think I would not be shocked if Richland wins, but I do have to pick Fairview just because I think the defensive concerns of the Raiders could potentially rear themselves. I hope the Richland Raiders win, because if they do win this, look out. The rest of that schedule for them looks mighty exciting going forward.
Summertown Loretto Pegasus Cup. You're up now. I did not expect Summertown to be here, but I just think Loretto is too proven. I'm going with the Mustangs, particularly at home in this one.
This is one, I'm pulling daisies here. He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He loves me not. I don't know who to pick. I've gone back and forth in my head about 1,000,000 times. I'm going to go Summertown just because I'm just riding the good vibes that Summertown's got going on. They went 14-0 versus Lawrence County, 7-0 versus Wayne County. Did give up 12 last week. Gave up 12 points for the first time all season. But Loretto will be curious to see how much of Tidwell do we get to see, because if they have to, we know they got a great running back in McDowell. We've talked about him earlier in this show, but Summertown's defense, if they can slow everything else down, I like their chances, and then maybe just sneak out some points and win. I think this will be a fantastic game. Give me the Eagles in a close one Friday night.
I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend between the raindrops. Get out and enjoy it. We will see y'all here next week on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show, presented by 10 Pin Alley Eat Play Party and by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. We'll see y'all.
This is the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show with your hosts, Maurice Patton and Wade Neely. Proudly presented each week by our friends at the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted Scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.